So today we're looking at E-flat major scales. And watch the video for free and gain some tips and advice on scales. But this comes from my Major Scales for Classical Guitar. This is a beginner to intermediate ebook, so there's a link for that under the video. This comes in the middle section of the book where we're just going over some common open and closed fingerings and open string shifts. But make sure you also watch the last section of the book, which goes over all the major scale patterns over the entire fingerboard. So that's going to really piece everything together for you. And also watch the video on how to practice scales, so you gain all the right hand fingerings that I recommend and all the other tips and suggestions for improving your scales. This video is just really going to look at a couple of scales that are common to this key. So we'll go over an open position scale, then two closed position scales, and then an open string shift scale. So the open position scale is 1 octave, and E flat has 3 flats: B flat, E flat, and A flat. So when you're playing it, I highly recommend you say the names of the notes out loud to gain an awareness of the key and just to know what notes you're playing. You don't want to just mindlessly follow fingerings without thinking about it. You might as well be gaining your note knowledge and your theory as you go. It'll also make sense of some of the other scales that we piece together. So E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D, E flat. So you just say them out loud as they occur. Just go slow. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it's still good for you. So let's do a 2 octave closed pattern now on the 6th strings. We find an E flat, that's at the 11th fret with our 2nd finger. We've done this pattern a lot. It's 2 octaves. Again, say the names of the notes out loud. It's the same notes as the first position scale, right? E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D, E flat. And then you'll gain an awareness of what the notes are up here. It might take a long time for you to really know it, but if you just do it every day, you'll get better and better at it, right? Also, practice your 2 octave scales in 1 octave chunks so you learn where each octave occurs. This is very, very important, and it'll teach you a lot about music on the guitar, and you want to know those 1 octave patterns. So you go from one E flat to the next, and then start from there, so that you know the 1 octave patterns that get pieced together into 2 octaves. Okay, let's do an E flat major scale on the 5th string. So that's down at the 6th fret with your 2nd finger. Again, make sure you're saying the note names out loud and also practicing it 1 octave at a time or with the shift. And then starting from there. So again, you just want to know those 1 octave shapes so that if you're reading a piece in E flat and it's in this area, you'll just know what the fingering should be and what the notes are probably going to be. Now, an open string shift scale. We've talked about this a lot, but open string shifts are great in repertoire because during an open string, you can shift your hand up the neck and a string will be ringing out. So it makes the shift easier, but it also makes the whole sound much more legato. In this particular key, because there's so many flats, we have to shift right away. But remember, in pieces, you'd be playing down here for a while and then have to just go up for a moment. So, but you're going to have to shift on the 3rd note. So if you say the note names out loud, this will make sense, right? If you're following fingerings randomly or tab, it's not going to make sense of the scale for you. But if you say it out loud, it makes sense because it's E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat. So by saying it out loud, it makes sense of what you're actually doing, right? You're not just going to learn the fingerings and forget about what the notes are. So during that open G, you're just going up to this pattern, the pattern that we practiced earlier in the video. And then you just play the pattern. because B flat, A flat, G, open G, F, E flat. It's a way of traversing the guitar during an open string, and it's rarely practiced in scale books or presented in scale books, and yet it's such an integral part of the repertoire and how we play repertoire. So I think it should be practiced pretty heavily.